Praise Yah. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your sister Cece Pruitt, and you are listening to PQLR1 Radio, where Yah is first. Of course, we like to bring you the most wonderful music from artists that love to praise Yah, that love to praise the Most High, and want to bring to you what He has put on their heart. But as you know, we also do interviews. Sometimes it's business, sometimes it's just people giving testimony. You never know what we're going to bring to you, but I can tell you that the people that come to us are definitely his children, his sheep. So we are not slacking today either. We are with our sister Kendrayah. Thank you so much for joining us, sister.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes, we are so happy to bring you on. Now, I didn't run into you. I actually saw your content on TikTok and I was like, wow, this is just talking about yeah. So, I got to try to get her on. And you reached out to me and we talked a little bit or whatever. And we're just going to get straight into it with the people. We'll look at a specific video here and you can talk to us about it. And let's see if we can find it and let this video play. And we'll chat about it in a second. All right, let's see. Play here.
Barak Shalom, everyone, on this wonderful sixth Yom of the Shabua. Y'all saw earlier that I posted a duet video with our brother John Truth, and how he said he hasn't been on TikTok for about 2 months. He's just been in a very consecrated place because he realized that as he came into the truth that he wasn't coming on here and teaching it in a way of love. And I come on here and I always say, we're supposed to be teaching the word based on love. But the main thing I wanted to point out is the whole intimacy. Now, people will spend a whole day on TikTok scrolling, trying to find answers, but the answers that you're looking for is not going to always be on TikTok. Matter of fact, the answers you're looking for in your own personal walk is not going to be on TikTok. You got to spend your own time with Abba Yahuwah. You have to really know what it's like to give your life to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? And it starts by you really allowing Yahusha into your heart and really acknowledging him as your Adonai and Savior. You know what I'm saying? I think I've told y'all once before, um, my walk was not because of my pastor or anything like that. My walk started when I picked up the word for myself and took 6 months from social media. And it was just me and Abba. You know what I'm saying? It was just me and Abba. And guess what? My first encounter was Yahusha, and it was how he is in scripture. Like I said, I got immersed with the Ruach HaKodesh in my sleep. Well, did I wake up right away speaking in tongues? No, I did not. But however, within those 6 months, I started having dreams. He led me and connected me to the right people to help me grow in that season. And then it was, we moved back here. But what I'm saying is, you're trying to probably find answers to your walk of who you are based on TikTok. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting confirmation of some words, something like that. That's fine. But you got to be mindful that you're not making YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook your idols, as in that's the way you get the word, because you can get confirmation, but that should not be in place or a replacement of your intimacy time with him. Are you taking the time when you wake up in the morning? Are you making a set time where you're having, like they say, a date, an appointment with your father? Are you sitting there and you have a journal and you're writing down what your dreams are, or you're writing what's in your heart and seeing what he would say to you Are you making time for him? Because 20 minutes and 5 minutes ain't cutting it. Just being in your car for 2 minutes, say, oh, I just cover us under the blood of Yahusha, and then that's it, right? You have to make time to understand what your identity, position, purpose, and significance is on the arrest. You got to spend time with him. And we see in the Cersei, all people are focusing on is prophetic word, when we have prophet lying up in there too. People operating in divination and things like that. But however, on TikTok, even like as I was saying earlier, there's even division and discord amongst us, because even though we're saying Yahuwah and Yahusha, you still got to discern if that's a religious spirit still teaching, or is it coming in the place of the Ruach HaKodesh? You'll be able to tell the difference, right? And so when you start getting that inkling, and like, oh, I need to get off of social media, that ain't you. That's Abba trying to get your attention, because there's some things he wants to show you. Yeah, there's warnings going on, but you got to understand, those that are prophets, or should I say Nabayim of the Most High, they prophesy things ahead of time. We don't know when the so-called flood is coming. We don't know when the Exodus is taking place. But see, that's the main thing that people are focusing on right now is, oh, we about to get up out of here, but you don't know when exactly that day is going to be. And it's not for you to focus on that. It's for you to focus and understand what you're called to do, what seeds you're supposed to be sowing, what marketplace ministry you're called into, which is AKA your business. What is the inside of you that he's trying to build in the inside of you, like he did Noah? He gave Noah a favor of 120 years to build the ark. Why? Because there was a flood coming. Everybody's season is different. The way I operate and do things is going to be totally different from you, but we're on the same team. But if you don't know that by staying and being occupied on TikTok, you're not going to know that. And you can't get frustrated with nobody but yourself, right? Because he's the one that ordered our steps. When it comes to the renewing of the mind and deliverance, and what I was saying earlier or yesterday, that's why it's very mindful, if you're listening to people's messages, don't just listen. If it's a part 3, don't just listen to part 3. Go to 1, 2, and 3 so you have a full understanding and concept of what the person is saying before you come and make comments, right? Because once again, you're missing a piece. So I really respect Brother John for saying, hey, I haven't been on here for 2 months, because this is what's been going on. And don't be surprised if someone like me or a couple of other people that y'all so accustomed to is quiet for a while, because Abba's doing a new thing and we're learning to shift with him. In order for you to receive the new thing, in order for you to receive the promise, you gotta be obedient. Because people are like, oh, I'm just gonna give him this. I'll sacrifice 24 hours. But if he were to tell you, I need you to be off of social media for the whole year, are you willing to let that go? Obedience. It's a lot of us, he's telling us to get off because there's something big that's getting ready to happen and we're anticipating. So if that's what it takes, so we wouldn't be aware of what's going on, then so be it. But you got to spend time with him. And thank you all for who come on here, and you're being baroqued by how he's using me. But it's here to deliver the word. It's not for me. The attention is not to be on me. The whole point is I'm trying to point you to him. Anytime somebody start coming on here and they want you to focus on them, then that's the issue. That's not Abba Yahuwah. My mission is to point you back to him and tell you to go to him, go to the word, research yourself, allow him to order your steps. You know what I'm saying? And he will order your steps. Next thing you know, you're growing. But however, like I said yesterday, the internet can be used as a wonderful thing or a detrimental thing. And right now, the enemy is kind of using it as a detrimental thing, even when it comes into this truth, because a lot of people are becoming overwhelmed. They feel like they're behind, they can't catch up. And it's not for you to catch up. You are exactly where you need to be at. but it's more seeking him or where you are this season and walk it out. If it's you going through a season where he's purging you of things, then go through that season of purging. That's deliverance. If you're going a season through where you're finding yourself emotional because you're going through healing, let him take you through that healing process. If you're in the season of building, then you in preparation, then that's what you do. That's your business. But it's not for us to compare ourselves. It's not for us to come on here, oh, I'm following this person, I'm following this person. Now, there's nothing wrong with building community, so be it. But don't get caught up with letting too many voices be in your ears. Like he said, my sheep know my voice, and the voice of a stranger they will not follow. When you're intimate with him, when you have built intimacy with him, you have your own personal love language. You will begin to recognize you'll begin to recognize who is of Yahuwah and who's not, who is just the wolves in sheep clothing, but they're using his name, who is still operating in a place of religion versus intimacy. Yeah, Shababa. So that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. So today, take the time, take several days and not be on TikTok and just spend time with Abba Yahuwah and see what he actually says to you. And when you're in the right place, you got so much peace and you flourish in that thing. You're not disturbed or anything. You're not stressed because you're flowing with this Ruach. So thanks for tuning in with Out the Box Kingdom Talk with me, Out the Box Kingdom. Barak Shalom.
Well, all right. Praise God. That was a word. That was a message. That was a lot. And thank you for sharing what y'all has put on your heart. I'm telling you, because yes, many of us have gotten caught up in social media, and it has become an idol. Like, really, if you think about it, the first thing you do, the phone has become an idol. What are you looking for? You're looking for your phone because you're wondering what time it is, and just because you wonder what time it is, then that leads you into checking social media. And before you know it, you an hour in, and you were supposed to be checking the time, and then, like you said, looking at these people, listening to that one, listening to this one, you might have too many people in your ears, and therefore you're not really hearing what the Father says. So while you were talking with us about that, I mean, when you originally made the video, was it speaking to you as well as you were talking?
It made me really think about and reflect on my walk in the beginning
Hmm.
because you just have a heart to serve. It's like you are a vulnerable child. You
Hmm.
just, you want to let Abba know that you just want to serve him.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you get caught up in these ministries where I got caught up in a ministry and how the enemy used that as it looked innocent because it was a relative.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? And so when I got caught up in this ministry, it started off good at first.
okay.
But then I realized I was dealing with a Saul and David situation. And it was so many because I didn't understand my giftings and how he used me.
Hmm.
I'm looking at her like the answers for everything, but really it was turned into a manipulative thing that it paralyzed me and disabled me and gave me the wrong perception
Oh,
of Abba Yahuwah and Yahusha. It was so bad that um I would be scared to leave my home.
oh,
Like if I sneezed the wrong way, like he would just strike me down. That's the type of perception.
that is
Yeah,
religion. That's
that
definitely.
is intense. And these are people that were speaking in tongues and everything. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying?
mm.
And my mom would try to tell me, but I'm like, well, my mom, you're not walking with me. You're not on the same walk with me. So she's just had me messed up.
Isn't that crazy how your mom
And
try to tell you? Your mom will tell you, but in our little infinite minds, we be thinking, yeah, she don't know what she's talking about. Like, I'm over here and she's still over here. So how does she think she gonna tell me anything? And she's telling you everything.
telling me it, my husband not really saying much because he don't really understand, but he's trying to be supportive,
Uh-huh.
and it happened to take a sister to come up in there. And when I say she was a prophet of the Most High Yahuwah, she came in there and stirred up some trouble because she could see things. She was. Me and her would be on the phone for hours, and she was telling me what she was seeing behind the ministry.
Mm.
And she was showing me what my cousin told me what she saw my cousin doing. I mean, my cousin make it seem like she was because of the title.
Okay.
And come to find out she was doing things, it was one of the ministries. I'm going to put you out there, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to let you know what I'm doing,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so it took Abba to separate me, like move me to a whole nother location of Colorado Springs to get me from that ministry.
Oh my goodness, he had to uproot you. That's amazing. Now, before we go further, why don't you let us know, first of all, a recent testimony unto Yah? Something beyond he woke me up this morning. We know that's a great one. But talk to us about something he has either revealed to you or done in you recently.
Mm, recently. Okay. Well, a wonderful testimony because I always give our all this thing but good things to happen, even in the bad, because you live and you learn. I would say Abba recently, I would say the student loan being paid off.
Oh, that's a
And be
great one. Do tell. Goodness.
well, I remember because Abba, like I said, talked to me in dreams. So a couple of months ago, or last year, I had a dream, and it was like me looking in a computer and seeing everything like I owed. And all of a sudden I start seeing zeros, everything being zeroed out, but it was in green,
Wow.
not red. So I
Mm.
was like, I woke up, I said, wait, debt cancellation? I said, okay. And so I was like, well, I don't know what that is. So come to find out, um, earlier that following year, I was 90% with the VA. I'm
Okay.
a veteran.
Okay.
So I had a dream of the 90 flipping to 100. And I was like, what are you getting ready to do? What I'm
Right.
saying? So I'm in class, I'm in school, and I noticed they sent me and said, hey, we no longer can charge you taxes. So I was like, the only time somebody can't charge you taxes if you're 100%.
Oh,
So sure enough, in January, I got the letter that I was officially permanent and total with the VA, 100%, like Alpha had showed me.
wow.
And I was like, okay, so fast forward, because there was another testimony in between that, but you said recently. So,
Well, you can
so because,
give us whatever you want to give us because you that in these times people need encouragement, because here's how things work, I find. If there is a little piece of it that you forget to really give Yah the praise in, it just kind of throws off the whole testimony. You know what I'm saying? Because one, it starts looking like all you did was made a phone call and that person might have just been in the office that day or something like that. But the backstory of it all is just so much more. So we don't mind the backstory because we definitely don't want to give you any of the praise or the glory. The only thing we want to do is say, praise Yah that you have a mind to serve him so that he can bless you. So feel free to give us as much of background as you want. We're here to listen.
okay, so the background when I say I'm a veteran, I served in the military for like 2.5 years
Okay.
and didn't get a good rating. They gave me 40%. That's what they felt like I was worth.
Okay.
And so it was a battle. I was only getting like 400 something dollars per month, and I had a car payment that was 400 and something.
Ooh,
Yeah. So it's like you getting money, but you're not getting money because it's going straight to a vehicle,
yeah.
And so um at that time I had that friends with benefit type of relationship with Abba at that time, tradition. Um and so I would try to work he opened the door.
I would always show the way to let me know he was there in my life, like getting my attention. Whether I was in the club or something, the conviction was there. Like, oh, this ain't right. Yeah, I was like, I'm not okay. Um, so I ended up moving to Washington State. That same cousin, this is before she had her ministry. I didn't know what prophet, sign, none of that.
Mm.
So when I say traditional Baptist, what's a prophet? What's that? You know, it was I got baptized and he led me to get baptized. You know, I got baptized in the JC name. Okay. But it was the heart, like it's your time. And he always ordered my steps. Like I said, I went to the club, never was a drinker or smoker,
Mm.
just the one like you put your drink down, you're not drinking in that same drink, you're getting another one. I was that type
You
of
were
person.
the mama at the club.
Mama at the club, because people I know put date rate drugs. I'm watching you, sir. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if you put, putting this on your tab. I'm watching you. Let me
Yeah.
drink my water over here.
Right.
So, um, but she prophesied and said, "You're gonna do this," and I was like, "You're lying," and I ran from her. I
Wow.
was like, "No," because and she said, "You think because you going to the club that you're lying,"
Mm.
and I ran, went to Washington State, and everything was going well, and then things started going downhill. And I think this is where I started, I would say, going through the Job situation because it had got so bad.
Mhm.
I remember crying in my car because I was working like third shift, working with at a crisis unit. So people on drugs, 30 people, and you're dealing with them from night to morning, 6 a.m. in the morning. So
Mm.
you're dealing with people that's dealing with demonic influence. I should have known then I was called into deliverance. Because it was just like
Right.
and
Wow.
and it got so bad. I said, I didn't come out here for this.
Mm.
I just didn't. And my mom was there. Me and my husband was just dating at the time. So he was just based out there. So we weren't living together or anything, but I was with my mom and I never forget the day when I cried out to Abba. The enemy just went full-fledged mode. He let me know he was upset with me.
Wow.
My health got attacked. My mind got attacked so bad that it was like disabling. Like I was scared to drive my car. It felt claustrophobic.
Wow.
Consistently going to the hospital because my heart is racing. They can't find nothing wrong. I didn't know about spiritual warfare, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had got so bad. I was getting ready. My boss, she loved me so much because I learned how to do VA claims. So I got to learn the end scopes of that. Albert had blessed me to get that type of job. So my boss and everything, I was a fast learner.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of a sudden that come crashing down. I was getting ready to lose my job.
Mm-hmm.
My car got repoed. My mom had to get that for me. I mean, enemy was just boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. I was in grad school working. I was going to school for either forensic psychology, something dealing with mental health. I was trying to do the same degree as my mom.
Okay.
I had to like drop out of grad school because I was in my room staring at the four walls, could not tell you who I was, just zoned out.
Wow.
And I didn't know I was hearing Abba's voice. Before all that happened, he kept telling me, read your word, read your word, read your word. And I would just be like, mm. And would just continue watching my crime shows. And
Oh.
my neighbor, her husband just came out. He said, you've been asking Abba what to read. He said to start at John.
Mm.
And he said, oh, yeah, that's your husband, by the way.
Oh.
And you're his prayer warrior. And I'm looking at him like, man, I don't even pray for myself. You talking about pray for somebody else. You like I was just and so um after that it got so bad. I said, all I got is left is this Bible.
Right.
So I got off social media and it was so bad because when I said the enemy had attacked my mind so bad and I was paranoid, it was almost like the deaf and dumb spirit had came like hit me because it was just like my brain was not processing things for me to come out and speak. it was, yeah. So I picked up the word, and it started with me reading it in my mind, and then all of a sudden, just one word at a time, then a whole sentence, then a whole paragraph, and then finally full chapters. And I started reading, I read those scriptures in 6 months.
Wow.
That's when I had started having dreams. He started showing me things, and then he connected me with these two awesome women from Panama. And they taught me about warfare.
Mm.
They could see things in the spirit realm. And they literally was my covering until I was like, it's time to go back home to North Carolina, because I don't know what's going on out here in Seattle, but it's like the lion's den out here, bro. Y'all can have this. And it was like oppressive. It was just a really dark
I lived
place.
there for 20 years. I was in Federal Way, Washington.
That's where I lived at,
I lived in
Federal Way.
I lived in Twin Lakes in Federal Way. Yes. And for a while you can have like a big head because you kind of feel like you've arrived because you've pulled yourself out of the oppression and ghetto-ness of, let's say, the South, or just the way that things are supposed to look for us. So I mean, you can live in Washington and you can look like you got it going on and you really don't. Um, you can even feel like you got it going on, but you really don't. But like I said, I was there for 20 years, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And the spirit there is, people talk about liberal, but this place is beyond liberal. It is just wicked. Like I think they say
Dark.
the most unchurched state is Washington State. And
Yeah.
you can tell just, they have churches. They have these huge mega churches, but those are nothing but social gathering groups to where you come listen to somebody speak because there's no deliverance there. I used to go to Christian Faith Center for years. I was a faithful.
That's where that's where I went
Did you
to.
go
And
there too? I probably
that's
know
where I
you.
met the two ladies. That's where I met the two ladies at.
Yes, yes. I used to go to
And
Christian Faith Center, and I'm telling you, like, I mean, even though I wasn't where I am today, just I remember they did a fashion show and Wendy Treat was there and they started this fashion
yep.
and they played Rihanna. Then they played Beyonce. And I remember looking
What?
across to somebody else I knew and we caught eyes like, what is going on in this place? I said, I'm going to talk to Wendy. I'm gonna go talk to Wendy right now. And at the end of that thing, I went up to her and she's shaking everybody's hand like she's some celebrity. I said, listen, why in the world would you allow Rihanna and Beyonce to be played at this fashion show? There is plenty of other music that is glorifying God. I said God at the time, that you don't have to play this worldly music. Oh, she played dumb. She acted like she didn't know what music was playing. She acted like she had no clue what I was talking about. And I said I could never come back to this place again. It is wicked. I mean, I knew, from the flying helicopters to going to this place and that place and your sudden deliverance from this and all this money and all this exuberation. A mega church, cookie cut
Mm-hmm.
pattern after many of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Washington State. I mean, that's just a little bit of it. I did not mean to steal the story, sis, but when you said Washington, I'm like, ooh, I wonder where she came
98% of people don't believe in Yahusha out there. So
from.
it was definitely a lion's den. And when he told me to leave that place and never look back, when I never forget the day I drove and I'm just looking and it's just this dark cloud hovering
Yeah.
over that city.
It's
And it's
already
a
raining.
city, it's already raining, but it's a city built on top of the older city that was flooded.
Yes. The
You know what I'm
underground.
saying?
They give tours too. You can go tour that
Oh,
underground.
I did the tour
Did
and
you?
I had to repent for that too. So
Yeah,
I was
I didn't
like,
go. Yeah, I didn't go. I said no, thank you. I'm not sure what's down there. Somebody
I
probably
was like,
at me or something.
I
Yeah.
was like, no. So after the third year, I told my husband, I said, I love you.
Mhm.
I said, but I was trying to wait and see if he wanted to get married.
Okay.
We had when I came into the walk, I had cut any type of intimacy thing. I said, I'm somebody's wife and we can't be doing this, bro.
Right.
We just can't.
Right.
And he was respectful. That's why I was like, man, what? Like, some
Too.
dude would have been like, bye.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bye.
Uh,
But he was like, I gotta respect you, and if that's what he's telling you to do, I have to respect that.
Wow. Where's he
And
from?
so he's from Washington, Lacey.
Oh, he's from Lacey. Okay. 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 All right.
So
Praise God.
um, so I told him, I said, well, I'm going back to North Carolina. He thought I was playing. He
Mhm.
didn't take me serious until he saw that truck loaded up, and I said,
Oh,
I'm gone. I
okay.
said, I've been waiting to see if you want to get married. I said, if you don't know by now, I don't know what to tell you. But it's not for me to sit here and wait for you.
Mm.
I'm somebody's wife.
Mm.
And I said, if I got to start over again, then so be it. I
Wow.
love you though. And left him.
Wow.
Me and my mom was gone. And even in that whole situation,
Mhm.
Abba was amazing because I left being a veteran service officer and I ended up working for the state of veteran affairs, working with homeless veterans.
Oh, wow. That's an important job.
And mhm. And Abba just used me amazingly because I was really enjoying the walks. I would pray for the veterans and, really work with them. Oh, yeah, the enemy was letting me know he was upset with me in there too. But
Mm.
I was having dreams at the same time. It's like Abba always warned me in my dreams because my first job in Washington was a working for Frontier
Okay.
as ticket agent or whatever.
Okay.
And I loved my job.
Mhm.
But however, my roommate was a girl I went to airline school with. He said she was upset because she was loving, but she was jealous at the same time.
Ooh, a frenemy.
Frenemy.
Yeah.
So she allowed me to come stay with her at the time before I moved to Federal Way, but she worked for Emirates. So
Oh,
she kind of like felt like she was on top and I was kind of low.
right. She's
So
going
she would let me,
to UAE and all that.
right. So it's almost like she would treat me like I was a maid because she would just leave her house towed up and she had a child that was disrespectful and I didn't play with him. I was like, I'm not your mama. But she was trying to move in the same townhouse that me and my mom ended up getting later on. And she was trying to give me the smallest room and pay $600. And my husband was like, no, ma'am, you get your own place for $600.
Okay.
And so when I told her, so I started going to Federal. That's how I ended up in Federal Way. I would go there after work every day because I got off at 12 and started researching the apartments and stuff and putting applications in. And I had put an application for one. It didn't work out. But the one I ended up getting approved for was bigger. It had more sunlight. It had the washer and dryer already included. The other one, I would have had to pay to wash my clothes.
Oh,
So, and it was much smaller. So I was like, oh, and they gave me the military discount. I mean, just amazing.
wow.
So when I told her I found me an apartment, I could tell she was upset or that spirit was upset because she's like, you did.
Ah,
Okay. You
oh,
know what I'm saying?
she was
So
nice, nasty.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So so what she ended up doing is finding her a place. And she said, well, you want to stay here at the apartment until you move in your place? And I was like, yeah, because I didn't want to have to deal with her and her son and just the drama that came with her. So I was like, yeah, I'll stay here. Well, one day I was working and Abba was like, when you get at the house, we're going to see an eviction letter on the door.
What?
She hadn't paid her rent. So
What?
of course, my things was in there. She made sure her things was not there. So my things was the only thing left there.
Oh, wow.
So sure enough, I got there and guess what was on the door? An eviction letter. I said, this chick didn't even pay her rent.
Oh,
So I'm working at Frontier, but Ava, for some reason, made it where I had favor with the rampers, which were all islanders. And they would cook breakfast and everything. I was always on work on time and things like that. So
Samoan,
um
the Tongan.
Samoans, yeah, and the supervisor, he was a veteran like me, so he would give me like let me pay him for
Okay.
flying passes so I can go home.
Wow.
But but the women, they were, yeah, you know what I'm saying? The women I worked with. So
Right.
just jealous for no reason. Could never understand that,
Yeah,
you
it's a
know,
spirit. It's a spirit behind all of that. Yeah.
never could understand that. So I was I'm sitting up there, I'm like, okay, the eviction letter. He said, ask such and such if you could stay with them for 3 days.
Mhm.
I was like, they don't even know me. Now I don't even know I'm having a conversation with. I'm like, they don't know me.
Right.
Asked anyway. So I went up and I asked them. I said, "This is what's going on." Day before the day was over, they said, "Yeah, you can stay with us for 3 days."
They just said it. Wow.
Gave me their bedroom, cooked for me if I wanted. I mean,
The red carpet treatment.
the red carpet treatment,
Wow.
and because the girl helped me,
Mhm.
and she was a what you call a butch, but I wasn't a, that's her business, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? So um because I believe she helped me, they sabotaged her to get fired.
What? That's a lot.
So I was that type of person. You can come at me with gossip, but let me find out the person for myself. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna go based on what you tell me about the person.
Mhm.
So she got fired, and then I had a dream that they were gonna come together and fire me, try to get me fired. And sure enough,
Oh my
I told one of the girls that was accustomed to me doing double shifts for her when my husband came to finally came to Washington. I told her no.
Mhm.
And when I said that, when I say sabotage, the boss was involved in it. He was cool at first. I tried to get a job at Virgin America. He told the boss that he said, if I feel like nobody deserves a job, I will tell them. No matter me having perfect attendance and everything, he sabotaged that. They
Wow.
took my badge. They hid my badge and my parking pass. So when I told them, I said I quit. They made it seem like they was all boohooing. But see, the supervisor for the Rampers was there at the meeting
Mhm.
when they came all together
Mhm.
and did all that. He said, yeah, they knew exactly what they was doing. He
Wow.
says, I don't blame me for leaving. So I ended up leaving. And so went through jobs. And then that's when I finally got at um, Voc rehab and stuff like that, working with the veterans. And even then, Abba began to show me. He said, it was a writing on the wall said Diablo. And Diablo means devil in
Right.
Spanish. And it
Yeah.
was on the wall. And he was pretty much showing me that my supervisor that once cared for me, she was going to end up believing the lie so much
Mm.
that I would have to leave.
Wow.
So that happened, and it was so bad. I had anxiety so bad I felt pretty sick in the car going to work. And I just was like, but I just want to work for you at this point.
Isn't
When
that
are you going to deliver me?
work on a job and you gotta camp out in your car for the first 30 minutes before you go in there? You cry,
Yes.
you feel,
Hmm.
yourself together, you gotta pray. Even before you go in there to see these people, you go through those things. I don't miss that feeling.
Every time I would come into work, I got a report. And come to find out, the girl that was lying on me was one that came to me and crying to me because she was in an abusive relationship. Was
Oh,
supposed to be a friend.
okay.
And because she come to find out she wanted the position I was in, they didn't hire her.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was like, well, okay. So I said, and so the two ladies that was working with me, mentoring me, they said, Abba wants you to leave that job before he brings judgment there. You need to leave. I said, well, he's gonna have to give me a reason to leave because
Oh,
I got bills to pay. We
oh,
got $2,000, you know,
oh,
payment, and I'm only getting 40% from the VA, bro. Like, yeah, so I said, okay, Abba, you're gonna have to give me a reason to leave this job.
mhm.
And he did. That boss called me and she cursed me out. I said, thank you.
Yes, you are my reason.
Thank you. My reason. Your job is not worth my health. I'll give you my 2 weeks notice. Can we talk? Nope, there's nothing to talk about. I'll give you my 2 weeks notice tomorrow.
Wow.
I come into work. She was like, today's your last day on the job. Okay, fine. That's fine. She wouldn't even try to help me do my paperwork or nothing. So put my stuff in, and I went home, and it felt almost like a release,
Mm.
that I was leaving a oppressive place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I got home, I had brand new furniture, and the furniture people called me. Hey, Miss Diggs, we want to we just calling about your bill. I said, ma'am, I just lost my job. I said, I'm a veteran with fixed income at this point.
Mm.
I'll try to pay you the best way I can. She said, well, did he tell you about the 90-day policy? I was like, what 90-day policy? She said, let me look on the system. Like how she was saying, like almost like I was talking to a messenger of the Most High, just looking up my stuff.
Right.
Well, because it didn't tell you about the 90-day policy, it sees here that you've been done paid your furniture off. You're just paying the delivery fee. So tell you what, I'm just going to go ahead and zero out your account. And you have a good day, and I'll send you the receipt.
What? Oh, your furniture was paid off. You were only paying the delivery charge. Wow. Talk
It
about
had been paid
angels.
off.
Talk about
So
angels.
I was
Oh.
right. So it gets better from there. So I was like, okay.
Mhm.
So then I get a letter from the IRS saying, "Oh, we owe you money. We think we taxed you back in 2010 when you got out of service with your severance pay." And I was like, I don't remember them taxing me. So what?
Right. Right.
And my mom said, all you can do is fill out the paperwork. Either gonna say yes or no. So just fill it out. So I was like, oh well, I'm only expecting like $1,800. That's fine. That's good.
Uh-huh.
That would sustain me until it's time for us to leave, because we was almost at the end of our lease anyway.
Mhm.
Well, I got that check in the mail, and that check was not $1,800. It was for $3,000.
Oh, wow.
The whole time I wasn't on social media, and it was just me and Abba,
Oh,
all this stuff was happening. So I was like, thank you, y'all. So now I can pay
everything.
rent. I can pay rent now. So then I said, well, Abba, it really, and this is how I realized how our conversation developed.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like, it'd be nice, Abba, if I just paid this month rent, but I have like $2,000 left over. So when we move back to North Carolina, I have plenty left over. Well, the lady, we ended up calling the lady at the rentals office. We said, we understand our lease is not up until June. And she's like, yeah, so about that, I was getting ready to ask y'all something. So apparently y'all apartment is on a high demand. So do y'all mind breaking y'all lease early without penalty? And I was like,
Oh my
what?
goodness.
She said, how soon y'all trying to leave? And we told her the month, and she said, deal. I'll go ahead and do the paperwork now. So
Wow.
we got to break our lease early without penalty to leave. So
That is
we
amazing.
came back to North Carolina. That's when I got tied up with my cousin's ministry. Got filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. That was like the best day ever. Just the evidence of speaking. And I spent 4 hours in my room just talking to Abba in my language. I was just overjoyed. And then that's when he says, your check is coming soon. I was like,
What check?
my check is coming soon.
Uh-uh.
Because mind you, I had put my VA claim in and had worked on it at the other job. So he
Mhm.
was like, your check is coming soon. Girl, I'll be checking my bank account. I said, you know what? Don't tell me nothing else about no check coming soon, because I ain't seen no check yet, Dad. I'm just done. But he was testing my heart posture too.
Right.
Sometimes he'll do things for you to see what your idols are. Because
Right.
at that time, I had an addiction of shopping for clothes and all that other stuff. Me, pretty
Right.
much.
Right.
Um, but when we moved to Fayetteville, and he was still dealing with me, finally, I'll never forget the day when that check came. And it was, I ended up praying for my old coworker that worked at the VA with me, and they had sabotaged him to get fired because this lady didn't like him. Gentile.
These
If you
people
catch
are
the drift.
wicked at these jobs.
Got him fired for no reason.
Oh,
And so when we would work, he would make sure I had food because there would be times where I wouldn't even have money in my account, and he would just pay for my food, and we'd just sit there and talk. And so I remember one day he said, "Man, I've been fighting with the VA since '89 about this PTSD claim." And so we ended up. I said, "You ain't got to fight with him. Let's pray about it. Let's go ahead and pray about this right now."
right.
So I prayed for him, and all of a sudden I could see. This is when I was developing my gifts. I started having visions. I said, "I see you standing on a porch with just looking at a field of wheat."
Wow.
And so he's like, "Well, me being part black and part Indian, when you see wheat, that means riches. That means wealth."
Okay.
And I was like, "And that's in the scripture. I mean, wheat means wealth, or So I was like, "Okay." So I prayed for him, and we kind of just left it alone. He said, "Thank you so much." He came back 2 weeks later because his father had died. He said, "Kendra." I said, "What?" He said, "Y'all just called the VA." And I said, "What about it?" He said, "Yo, they had finally granted him his PTSD claim.
Oh,
50 gave him 50%. He
wow.
said, "But just the catch though, because this is around the time when COVID hit."
Okay.
So me and my husband had got married, by the way. We got married. He was in Germany, and we were separate for a whole year in our
Oh,
first year of marriage.
okay. Wow. So when did you
Yeah.
get married? When did y'all get married?
We got married in 2019. We actually got married before my uncle passed away. So when we moved, me and my mom moved back to North Carolina. Come to find out, it was to prepare my uncle to transition
Oh,
into his rest.
okay.
And that was pretty hard.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Mm.
Um,
But you got to see him before he passed.
I got to see him before he passed, and he liked, my husband and everything. So how me and my husband got married, he was in transitioning to Germany, so he was here on break,
Mhm.
and he was planning to propose,
Mhm.
but his windshield got cracked, so the money he was going to use
Yeah, to
went
use.
to the windshield, and the service, because he had just got promoted, didn't even give him his money. So at that time, I was doing hair. I was braiding hair, two heads that week. My mom was out of work, and all of a sudden, I was like, "What do you think about going to the courthouse?"
Mm.
And I thought he was gonna say no, but he was all for it. He
Wow.
said, "Let's go."
Wow.
Went to the courthouse, got married, and was only with each other for 8 days, and he was gone,
Oh my.
gone off to Germany.
Because he's still in the military?
No, he's out. I got him out.
Oh, okay. Okay. But at that
I
time,
got him.
he was still
At
in.
that time, he was in. He was active. So
Okay. Wow.
um, we would try to do the paperwork. My paperwork kept getting lost. So, but Abba told me he didn't want me to go to Germany because they had a lot of idols. The principalities over there, apparently, I was not spiritually equipped for. It would have been like another Washington State situation.
Oh,
So
goodness.
So, but he made it when my husband got reclassed and was able to come back to the state. So that was a good thing too. That's how we ended up in Colorado because his job changed,
Mm,
and
mm.
we ended up out there. But when I prayed for my friend, and he was like, "Man," he looked in his account. There was $110,000 in his account from back pay from the VA, and I said,
$100,000. Wow.
and he was like, I said, "Well, if yours it just came in, I know mine's coming." I just got excited for him, but it really didn't think
I'm
nothing of it.
I'm a believer in the Most High, yeah. So of course, if he is, that just reminds me of the scripture talking about, if he takes care of the birds and that kind of thing. So of course, he's gonna take care of me. You know.
I was like, he's gonna take care of me. So at that point, I wasn't even looking for no check and happened to be in the store. And Abba has a comical way of how he talks to me. It's like question within a question.
Mhm.
So it's like we have that sarcastic kind of relationship. I was in the store. He's like, I was looking at t-shirts. He said, "Why not make your own?" I said, "Because I don't have the money." You know what I'm saying? Like I was just,
But then he said, "But I
and I
have
just,
all the money."
he didn't even come. He got real quiet, but I started researching t-shirts, and next thing you know, he said, "Check your account." No, I was sitting down talking to him about my car, and I said, I'm willing to go to school 2 more semesters, get the refund check to pay this car off. I'm okay with that. I'm willing to sacrifice that if I have to. So next thing you know, that Monday, he said, check your account. Okay. Check my account. There was 18 grand in the account. I called Nissan so quick and said, here's your money. Don't call me no more. Send me my title. Because I had been through so much with that car.
Wow, praise yeah. So you just got it all paid off. That is a
Paid off. That was the first payoff. And it was a fight with that vehicle. And that got paid off. And then finally, I got my letter in the mail. You're 90%. So I was content with that. I said, well, praise y'all for
amazing.
this. And
That's amazing.
got back paid for that. And then fast forward to now, when I had that dream about the 100%, I said, well, it's going to happen in your time. I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly as it did,
Right.
but it did.
Mhm.
And then next thing you know, I was sitting in prayer. I did a 11-day juice fast. He said, okay, get a blank key. Okay. All right. I don't know why, but I'm gonna get my mama one too, just in case. Let's do it. And I did that, and next thing you know, 2 months later or 3 months later, we're now in our house.
Praise
And the
God.
day of
Wow, I got
closing,
applause on that one.
so the day of closing, I thought we was gonna have to pay like 10 grand or more. That man sent me the email. He said, all you have to bring at closing is $146.26. My
Oh,
realtor said, I ain't never seen nothing like this in my life.
wow.
You've had the person to put money towards closing. You got the person put the new roof on your house, and now you only paying $146.26 for closing.
That's amazing. That is only all y'all right there. That's amazing.
So
Woo.
when we got the house, September came. I called the people. I said, okay, what is this paperwork I need to do for the student loans? And they said, as of September the 7th, your student loan was paid off, ma'am.
Wow. And that is all y'all. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. We need a whole story. The whole occurrence, I should say, because it's not a story. Stories are fake. This is an occurrence. This is a blessing. This is what Yah can do if you truly following him, if you are obedient to his word, if you're listening to him. Because I always say he's speaking, but are you listening? If he tells you put something down, put it down. If he says be done with it, be done with it. If he says get away from them, get away from them. Because the blessing that he has for you is greater than that thing that he's getting you away from, you know?
When he definitely say upgrade and elevation, when we was looking for a house or started looking at houses, we was looking for 1 levels. We weren't looking for no 2 level house,
You're right.
period.
Right.
And so we was looking for the average.
Yeah.
And when we even did the credit run, mind you, I only have one credit card in my life and I don't care for credit cards. So Abba made it a way where my credit score was just going up. And when it was time to get the house, me and my husband's both credit score was up there.
Wow.
And when it came to the approval of how much we would get approved for as far as a loan,
Mhm.
excuse me, I think we got approved for 320. And the guy was like, I've never seen this for first time home buyers. I don't get it, you know. And so when we got this house had been on the market for 40 days. The whole time I was looking for a house,
Mhm.
this house didn't show up at all.
Yeah, it was
It was
gone.
like it was
Gone.
hidden.
Mhm. Yep.
It was hidden.
Mhm.
And so he was on both ends. So the buyer and the seller, we both were believers. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? And so she was listening to him. I was listening. So I ended up meeting. We didn't meet in person, but I talked to her on the phone and just spoke into her life. I said, thank you for just making this, being part of this. Thank you. I know it was probably a sacrifice, but you will get reward double from what you put in. We,
Yeah.
appreciate you. And so, one more testimony I forgot in there. When we moved to Colorado, that's when Yahusha told me his name was Yahusha.
Mhm.
I was just in prayer, and he said, "My name is Yahusha Hamashiach." I said, "Wait a minute. They didn't. They changed your name. I said, oh, that's not cool, bro. That is not cool. And ended up getting a CFR.
Okay.
So I went down a rabbit hole,
Mhm.
got to learn more about the medical industry. So there was a vengeance there too. Like, I
Mhm.
don't like the medical industry. Started changing the way I eat and um he unlocked my creative giftings because I am an artist. I started off with what they call prophetic painting, and Abba would always have me painting hands, and the hands was always my color. When it was his and mine, it was my color. Um, but I didn't even know I would be prophesying about myself in these paintings. And then it went on to poetry, doing music with the poetry, fashion. I mean, you name it, was in it. And so, but one thing I wanted to definitely a testimony I wanted to give is right when you think of you have left something incomplete, when it's time, you'll come back to it. And that goes with my master's degree.
Mm.
Remember, I had to drop out of grad
Right.
school, but that was not what he had planned for me.
Mhm.
So when we got to, when we came to Fayetteville, I went to Grand Canyon University, and the lady was real nice. I signed up for their mental health and wellness with it, emphasis of Christian ministry. And
Mhm.
it was like 10 courses 10 classes. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I like that because it's not going to take too long, right? So boy, was I wrong. Because it was like 10 weeks for each class. But Vanessa was amazing. She really tried to work with me. But like I said, dealing with that ministry, that
Mhm.
toxic ministry, and the changes that was going on, and the attacks of the enemy, it was just hard to do well.
Mhm.
So because I did not meet their standards, I ended up dropping below their GPA level. And I was upset. I was a little discouraged. I felt like a failure, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And come to find out, that's when me and my husband was moving to Colorado. So I would have been trying to do schoolwork on the road, and that would have been hard. So
That's a lot.
we finally got there, and I had finally got to the point I said, you know what, Abba, you're going to use me regardless if I have a master's degree or not. So I'm okay not having a master's degree, you
Right.
know. Well, September, I will always see number 7. And
Mhm.
Alba talks with me with numbers, triple digits or whatever. And I was always seeing 777, which means completion. So I was like, why am I keeping? And there would be a bus going by the apartment, 7. I was like, okay, what's getting ready to be completed that I don't know about, right? Um, so September the 7th, Grand Canyon calls me, and it's a lady named Liz,
Mhm.
because I don't know Liz and she's not Vanessa. I got this guard up like, who are you? And I ain't interested.
Don't
She
call
was
me.
like, don't call me. She was
Mhm.
like, this is Liz. I want to know if you want to start your master's degrees. I said, nope, I have no interest in it. Thank you anyway. Bye. I was just very
Stand up.
straight and
Yeah.
standoffish. And I said, you're not Vanessa. So November 7th came. She sent me the email. I ignored it.
Oh.
December comes. My mom is like, Pumpkin, you might want to go back and finish your master's degree because you only got 5 more classes. I said, no, I'm good. I don't need that master's degree. I'm fine. I was gonna use me anyway.
Right.
Go home for Christmas with my husband, and me and his sister and mom talking, what? You only got, girl, you better go back and finish that. I said, you know what? This gotta be you. This gotta be you, Al, because the consistency like this. So finally I said, okay,
Mhm.
you want me to go back to school. I don't want any student loans.
Right.
So if you want me to go back to school, but you're gonna have to make a way where this is gonna be paid for.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it. I don't want no more student loans. I'm already at 35,000.
Yeah.
So sure enough, I called the school. I said, okay, Liz, I'm gonna sign up for school. And she said, yay, I'm so happy. And I said, I apologize for being standoffish. I just was feeling some type of way about the master's program. So we're up there doing the paperwork, and come to find out, she was a veteran spouse like I was.
Oh. Okay.
Vanessa wasn't. She wasn't a veteran spouse.
Mhm.
So Liz had more insight of educational benefits.
Mhm.
So when I try to pursue my master's degree, how I ended up with a student loan is when I was in Washington State, I tried to get my voc rehab extended, but this lady there was always known about denying veterans, so she denied me an extension. So that's how I had to end up applying for the
Loan.
student loan.
Mm.
So
And
when Liz came around,
you going to Highline?
huh?
Were you going to Highline, or where were you going?
I was going to Walden University.
Oh,
Walden.
okay. Is that in Seattle?
That's online.
Oh, that's okay.
I
Oh,
think it's in Missouri or something like that. So
okay.
Um, so when the lady denied me, I pretty much, and I had people look over and they said that's a discrepancy. She shouldn't have denied you because for a master's degree, you need a master's or a doctorate to do mental health, period, not no bachelor's level,
Yeah.
right? So, um, so when Liz was like, how did she say it? I said, yeah, I can't even get voc rehab. I got denied voc rehab. And so she sits up there and her tone of voice, I can tell when I was using somebody else because the sternness in their voice. And she said, you really should apply for voc rehab again. Things have changed. I was like, well, I'm going to take heed to that and I'll go ahead and apply. So I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and apply. I said, let it be placed in a woman of Yahuwah or a man of Yahuwah that see the discrepancy in my case
Mhm.
and give me the extension.
Wow.
And I got my phone call and come to find out my voc rehab counselor had been denied by voc rehab herself five times. So she understands what that's like. So now she was a caseworker.
Mhm.
And she says, well, I see discrepancies in your case, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you an extension, just like the prayer I had just prayed. And I was like,
Wow.
you
Wow.
need a computer? Okay, we got your computer, we got your printer. All right, you squared away. Go ahead and start school. So I was like, so call Liz, started school, and I said, oh, in every class I was in, every assignment, I would pray over it and say, I will just get me through this class. And next thing you know, I was graduating. I
Oh,
had finished with the GPA of 3.4. Was making straight A's in my school.
wow.
Um, Walked across the stage, and next thing you know, when I was talking with my voc rehab counselor, she was like, "You know, they're doing retroactive back pay for post 9/11." She said, "Well, when did you get out?" And I told her, and she said, "Give me all the information." She said, "I got all your information here, all schools you went to. So let me check something." She said, "You may qualify, you may just be really close." She said, "But I'm gonna check it anyway." So she calls me back and she said, "Guess what?" And I said, "What?" She said, "They approved you for the retroactive. You got 22 months to use your post 9/11." It's
Mm.
like I will just restore my educational benefit time.
Wow. That is amazing.
So
Crazy. Yeah, he made a way for you.
there. So
Yeah.
that's why I tell people intimacy is so key
Yes.
because you think you're supposed to do this thing and you're going the opposite of where everybody else is doing, you
Mm.
know. So now I know I'm called into the field of mental health. You know, that's where demonic oppression is the mind,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
but I'm a testimony of that. Well, I say I'm completely delivered from things, I'm still going through things. Deliverance is a daily consistent, it's a daily thing.
Yeah.
Healing is a daily thing. When people say, oh, there's a time limit of grievance, you're going through grievance every day. Why? Because you're unlearning to relearn. So you're going to always deal with some type of loss.
Hmm.
Right now, people are dealing with losses because you thought that was your identity. You thought that was the way you're supposed to worship. And all of a sudden, you find out that there was like a false identity you was given. Like you was a foster child
Mm.
that you thinking somebody stole you from your parents and gave you their own personal identity, and now you getting returned to your parents, and it's like, I don't know who you are though. I don't even know who I am.
Hmm. I
You
can't
know,
relate.
so
Yeah.
I can't relate.
Hmm.
And then as you're going through this, it's like your family members are now foreign because y'all are not thinking the same anymore. You
Right.
know, and you're trying to explain to them these things, and then you have to come to terms. They got to come in their own personal revelation like you did.
Exactly.
even though it may be JC, that's where I started from. I
Right.
was gonna go on my TikTok and completely erase all the videos with JC in there, but Abba told me to leave it on there. He said because people need to know where
Mhm.
you started from and where you are now. That's growth.
Mhm.
Because coming to the truth is an
Yeah,
everyday process.
exactly.
Hmm.
Because why would you erase? Because like where you're the seat you're sitting in now, you're gonna be somewhere else in 2 years.
Not the same.
No.
So I'm just, I just love sharing my testimony because some people are like, why you? Because it's letting people know I've had shortcomings, but however, how Abba showed up on time every time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right when I had the last penny, and I'm like, should I sew into this person? I only got $2, but
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and sew it into this person, and to wake up and have 65,000 next day. You you can't. Don't question the whys. Don't
Right.
question the whats.
Mhm.
If he tell you to do something, do it. It's not going to make any sense. It ain't witchcraft. You hearing him? Because when people say, I don't hear him, you hear him.
Mm.
He's talking all the time. It
Right.
could be numbers, like I said, on a clock. It could be on a license tag. It can be a song you hear. Don't religion has you to put him in a box. And like he said, I am too big to be in a building.
Mhm.
He's omnipresent.
Mhm.
Lucifer can only use cameras to try to see everything, but the moment that shuts down, they can't monitor you. But Abba sees everything.
Yes, he has the best and only vantage point that there is.
Right.
Yeah, he sits high
So
and low. Absolutely.
so ever since then I've had my pain was the loss of my grandma,
Mm.
the loss of my uncle from pharmaceutical.
Mm.
Um my grandma was like my best friend, you know what I'm saying? But I could see too, she could have easily been a crutch if she's still been living, because I would have still
Yes,
been up
yes,
under her.
yes. Yeah, I say that too, like, because we miss them. But then you think about where you are today, it's like they wouldn't even like me no more.
Well, she would have understood, but I think when Abba would have been like, it's time for you to leave and go here, it would have been hard,
Right.
you know. It
Mhm.
would have been very hard.
Yeah.
So my grandma understood my gifts, but how she developed me in it, because she couldn't read the Bible, but she was by the example. She would worship. She would not curse anybody that was she knew was harming her. She would welcome her enemies in her house. You know, I can understand that.
Wow.
She would pray. She was one of the ones, if it was raining outside and lightning, you better cut the TV off. We all sitting up in the dark. Like,
You're not
you
gonna
better
get
cut
struck
that
in this
TV
house.
off. No, she said, you better cut that TV off. How was she saying? You better cut that TV off while the Lord is carrying his work on. That's what she would say.
Oh,
So when it was raining outside and lightning, she was like, Abba is doing his work. Get somewhere and sit down and be quiet.
wow.
So if you had that fan going like this and it's hot and
That's
all that,
something
but
that's something they taught her when she was growing up, I'm sure.
that's something they taught her. But she
Oh,
was
precious.
a wonderful lady. She taught me how to sew.
Mm.
So apparently she must have knew that fashion was part of my calling. So she taught me how to sew, and
Wow.
um she was just it. So when I had a dream about her death before it happened,
Mhm.
and when it happened the way it did,
Mhm.
it was a love and hate of my gift.
Wow.
Because the first question I asked Abba was, why would you give me something where I couldn't save her? That was the first thing.
Mm.
Why would you show me that if I couldn't save her?
Mm.
I didn't get the answer until years later. He said, I loved you so much, I wanted to show you ahead of time to prepare you.
Mm.
And she was, and then finally I had a dream, and in the dream, she was just saying she was ready to go. She was ready to rest, and it was her time.
Mm. Mm.
So when I say the healing part, you talking about somebody pretty cried. I cried, but I understood. I said, yeah, you say in scriptures that you will warn your prophets or whatever ahead of time.
Right.
And you didn't just do that with You did that with my stepdad too when it was his time to go. You let me see that he wasn't going to be there when I got married, and he wasn't, So, and that was my stepdad went through a lot of things he took to the grave with him, but it caught up with him through alcohol, and that's what drove me to the military. And when I got out, when I got baptized, that's the first assignment of forgiveness I had to do, not knowing that my stepdad was going to be gone in another year, in 6 months. So I tell people, those that been molested by someone, they want to come and apologize, listen to what they have to say, because forgiveness is a serious thing. I think because I was angry with him, I was dealing with cancer cells, and they was trying to say all this other stuff, endometriosis, like reproductive problems. And at that time, I didn't know spiritual has to do with, they go both hand in hand. And because I had unforgiveness with him, it was trying to progress, but it wasn't progressing. So when I went to go see him and accept his apology for everything he took me and my mom through, and realized he didn't hate me, the enemy was just using him, you know what I'm saying? I got healed from that,
Mm,
you know. Um, Next thing you know, my stepdad was gone.
mm,
I watched that man suffer. And I tell people now, I said, if I had a choice, if Abba gave me the choice, I would have been like, give him another chance. You know what I'm saying? Give him a second chance, get it right.
wow.
Um, and so that just showed my heart posture. Every person I went through bullying in school. The girl that bullied me so much, she passed away right when we got out of high school. I wouldn't have wished that on her neither. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Woo,
it was just, you got to be careful who you speaking curse words or whatever too, because you don't know what type of calling they got on their life.
right. Well, the Bible,
Um,
touch not my anointed, you know.
do my prophets no harm,
Right.
and so high school was rough for me. I got bullied at home, on my street, and at school. It was just a consistent thing.
Mhm.
Never really was that type of person that can say, oh, I had my best friend since childhood. That wasn't my story. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I had those friends, as in they were my friends today, and I come back the next day, all them getting up against me saying, you was talking about me. What are you talking about? False accusations. Next thing you know, I'm by myself. Um, but the people that supported me, my grandma died my ninth grade year. My best friend's mom passed away my junior year, and my favorite art teacher at the high school died my junior year. I was just like,
What do I have
can
now?
I love anybody right now? Is it okay? And the enemy just had me in a fearful place of loving someone. But
Mm,
now, because of Abba, I don't have a fear of loving someone. You know, there was a lot of healing and stuff I had to go through. It was a lot of stuff I didn't understand. My
right.
art teacher was a ceramics teacher, so that made me think about Jeremiah when he got sent to the potter. So I learned ceramics. So when I saw that in scripture, I said, you sent me to the potter's house. Look at you. So I started putting two and two together. But
Right.
now, like I said, the pain that I experienced is now a passion, because even though I couldn't save my grandmother, I couldn't save my uncle, but now that I know that according to scripture that our medicine comes from food and the herbs, I can help somebody else's grandma or somebody else's uncle, you know what I'm saying, with the proper education and the leading by the Ruach HaKodesh. So that's what I do now. I either teach holistic classes or do one-on-ones. I do mental health therapy, and I also do creative mentoring, like people that's trying to understand and create a gifts and how it could be transformed into a marketplace business, aka ministry. So
Well, that sounds
I've
all of those gifts that you've been given are to help people uh capitalize on the gifts within them that Yah has given them. So that's wonderful. But if people want to reach out to you in order to receive mentorship, how would they do that?
so they will go to www.payhip.com
Mhm.
/ODBK Royal Revived Wellness, and it will come up.
Okay. So then what if they want to receive coaching in mental health? And of course, you have ABBA in your mental health coaching. So a lot of our people do need that. And I think that that's key and it's important that they be able to reach out to you because there's so many things going on. And we demonize, and with great reason, the mental health industry and just the pharmaceutical industry, all these different industries that have been set up to tear you to pieces. So when you have someone that is trained, not necessarily in the world way, but to have that special discernment to be able to help you, I think it's important. So, how would they reach out to you if they want to perhaps receive some coaching in mental health and spiritual health and just things that might be going on?
So that's the link. Because on that link, it'll send you to my website,
Oh,
and you can. It'll say Torah, Royal Revived Wellness, or Holistic Health. Then it got the logo where it says Mental Health Therapy or Creative Coaching. And what happens is when you click on the link, you'll fill out a form, and you'll submit it, and I'll review it. I'll pray over it and see if you are my assignment, because not everybody is my assignment.
right.
And if Abba gives me the okay, I'll click check mark, and then they can go on there. And there is a um, there's a one-time fee, and then there's where they can, depending on how long they think that they will need, they can make payments each month.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Well,
it's
that's
based on their needs. Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
So now, when we talk about quote spirituality and mental health, there's a lot of people into things that are not um, are not. How can I put it? They're wicked.
Scriptural.
They're wicked.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm talking about yoga. I'm talking about Reiki. I'm talking about just all these different idols that people bow down to. Um, but I would say that people who are trying to get healed don't realize when they tap into these things, they're actually heaping up more sin on top of them and more just demonic influence and just more judgment, period. What would you have to say about
So, well, I know what it's like about yoga. I wasn't into it, but as a veteran, they actually refer that as a way to release stress.
that? Right,
So they now have said Christian yoga. So you're thinking it's innocent because now they threw the terminology
it's
Christian in there.
yoga.
See, that's how the enemy put leaven or yeast into your camp. Remember, yeast only needs one drop. That's like somebody sin. I'm gonna put like sin like this so y'all can understand. Sin is like somebody trying ecstasy or crack for the first time. They said, "Oh, I could take it at one time and that's it." No, because you get addicted just that quick, and
Right.
before you know it, it start off as an innocent thing,
Mhm.
but it's not. For instance, innocent. Walt Disney is a prime example of innocent because it came in the form of children cartoon, but there was a lot of witchcraft indoctrination and sexuality in these cartoons. But however, we're seeing as, oh, it's just cartoon because it's full of color.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, first of all, that's the open door to you as a child. Now all of a sudden, you don't understand why you want to get into, oh, I want to get this wand over here. And, they will have the wands and the tiara. And you're thinking, oh, that's so cute. Nothing cute with that. And then when you become a teenager, I was a person, I love the Power Rangers, but when I see it now, I see all kind of demonic things in there.
Right.
But even our teenage shows, those are grown adults that you was lusting after. You get to high school, you're like, wait a minute, you don't look nothing like the dude in that show. And come to find out, them were grown people being as teenagers.
Oh, that's a pedophile thing.
Right. So
Crazy.
when it comes to yoga, Reiki, and all this other thing, the enemy will make you think that it's going to protect you. And it hurts you more than what you think. How I know, because I was that person, I wasn't into, I had tarot cards, but I had more so angel cards at one time because, oh, it looks innocent. It's not dealing with nothing dark. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't read other people's, I would just do my own. I had stones. I had what they would be anointing the candle. Green represents money and all this other stuff. Um, and when I gave my life to the Most High, when I said the enemy came like a flood, like what I said earlier, those were the open doors. Those demons came in full attack mode because
Mm.
I had opened myself up. I would watch horror movies. I would be watching like a lot of
Black
forensic
shows, like
files that had a lot. Yep, and that stuff was demonic too. I can watch it now without a problem because I know I'm
mhm,
covered, but I'm looking at it more on a spiritual note, like what really drove that person to doing that. Now I have an understanding, but even I have a limit with that. I'm not going to be sitting up here binge watching this mess. I just wanted to kind of,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
and leave it alone.
yeah. Mm-mm.
So when it comes to yoga, you're opening or you're posing and you're opening yourself up to into deities,
Mhm,
the sun god, all that.
mhm.
There's no such thing. You could do regular stretching and it don't have to have titles to it.
Exactly. Why does stretching have titles? You should question that.
Right. Reiki, oh, crystal healing. You don't get no healing from crystals, honey.
Mm,
Period.
mm,
That's a stone.
mm,
There's no healing in that. No healing properties.
mm.
You're depending on a graven or carven image to be your God. And he said, you shall not worship another Yahuwah or Elohim besides me. So when you are doing that, you're saying that Abba can't protect you.
Wow.
You're depending on something else to protect you, but really you're giving Satan the access pass to make havoc and bring chaos in your life and to kill you a lot quicker than what you think.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because all he gonna do is use you for his purpose, like he's doing these rappers out here.
Oh.
He
Ooh.
got a blood contract on you, and next thing you know, they in the ground. Look at Michael Jackson, look at Whitney Houston. They all their voices been
Yeah.
silent, and they still making money off of them.
Exactly. And I made a post where I was talking to some. Yeah. I wrote something. This is what novice people who are living this life don't understand. First of all, celebrities are nothing to be praised. Like, and you only like them and you don't understand because you think that they have a lot of money because people praise and worship money. And the Bible says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. But I notice a lot of people still love playing Tupac. I mean, that was in the 90s. That was so long ago. And people are still listening to that music. They have not moved on. They live in nostalgia. So we know that judgment comes. We know that people are going to be judged by whatever work they did in this earth, how they've misled people and all of that stuff. Okay, that's one thing. And then, okay, you've done all these dirty deeds, but then you die. But artists, it's a little bit different because after you die, these works are still going on. There are parents who grew up in the 90s listening to that music. Now they're still listening to it with their children, and it keeps going. So, what kind of judgment is that going to be? That's going to be a very, very strong, tremendous, dark judgment because
Yeah,
it's the dark gift that keeps on giving. It didn't die with them. Like you said, they're still profiting off that, but it didn't die with them. That's the work that they put forward, and it's still going on and on, generation after generation. And I was like, "Woo, these people, they
the
they don't give up."
principality of the air, the media. So
Yeah.
you even have people now that, as they're coming to truth, you have some people say they done went to hell and seeing these celebrities tell the people to stop playing my music because as they play my music, they're getting tormented. And when I did more research on a lot of these artists, a lot of them was Jehovah Witnesses, so in a occultist like background. That's why they can do the things that they do.
Like Michael Jackson's family. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Jehovah.
Jehovah Witness. Selena was Jehovah Witness as well.
Oh, I
Like
didn't.
a lot of them were, we know Kobe Bryant was Catholicism. His whole family was.
Mm,
So, and they died in a very tragic way, unfortunately. So um, Prince, his symbol was a lot of Egyptian symbolism. So, I mean, celebrity means to be celebrated, but when you look at their life, none of it is real. They have to consistently do rituals to stay ahead. But we're starting to see a lot of their empires crumble, like P. Diddy, and now they're saying Jay-Z, which I kind of saw that coming anyway. It ain't gonna just be them neither,
oh,
because they were
they're
puppets.
they're all there's not one that's good, none. So what I always say is you know that this industry is evil because these people can never rest or retire. They get up there and they're 1,000 years old, looking like they got one breath left in the body. Look at Willie Nelson. Why is he still performing? Do you think that this man actually loves to be on the stage and is still performing? I just doubt it. Like you see these people, they are old. Like the the like people like the Temptations and all that, they even keep
Mhm.
those things alive by bringing new members in. Some die off and they bring new members in because they're going to keep that thing alive. And they make these people,
Isley Brothers, all of them.
yeah, they
Mhm.
make them keep performing. They are like tap dancers.
Puppets.
They cannot give up. They have to keep going. There's no retiring for you. They all have a place. And people look for that one celebrity that they can trust. Like I'll give an example because I was this way. But like let's say Master P. Okay. But he sold his CDs out of his trunk. He made he's the self-made man and he did all this. No, he's not. No, he's not. He was brought on to make you think that. That's just his role. Because look at how these people are so interchangeable. People in sports, they're in movies, the celebrities, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're selling these different products. They are totally being pimped out because that is their role. I don't care what
And
you think you know about them, they are in a role.
and they are being endorsed. Like a lot of the products they're convincing you to buy, they don't even use that. They just getting paid
Right.
for that infomercial. That's just like Jordan. They try to get you to buy all these name brands, but if you knew what the actual logo or Timberland stand for, it means the hanging tree. That means where they hung slaves off of the tree logo, and it
Wow.
wasn't made for African Americans. Tommy Hilfiger did not want African Americans wearing his stuff. Michael Kors said he didn't want African American women with his bags, right? But we're the main ones buying it. Um, I'm trying to think of someone. Oh yeah, so Jordan. When I found out that he is an owner of a prison,
I didn't know
I
he was
said, "Oh,
in prison. I
he's
mean,
the owner of a prison."
I'm not shocked.
Hmm.
I mean, they're all going private now. I'm just totally not shocked. Well, it's
But
a disgusting, wicked system, and I just
yes,
get a little vexed when I see us so in tuned to what these people are doing. The world is falling. There is no more nostalgia for these things because you must make a choice. Bible says, choose this day who you gonna serve, and if you're gonna serve Yah, you gotta let that stuff go. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are claiming Yah who are still utilizing those beats, who are still listening to that music, who are still going back into nostalgia. But I mean, I don't care. I don't care who listens to me and does not like what I'm saying. It doesn't matter because the Bible says, come out of her, come out of her. How are you coming out of her but running back into her so fast? And I always say, if your music cannot stand up on its own without that beat up under it, that you better ask Yah if you really have a gift. Because all you're trying to do is pull people back into this mess, which you're going to be judged for. You don't have a gift if you cannot make music without that worldly stuff. That's just period. And you don't
and they do a lot of channeling anyway in their
Yes, they
music.
do.
Like
That's
they
what they do. Mhm. They take
they
it
do a lot of channeling.
they do all kind
Hmm.
of stuff behind the scenes over the music, and nobody cares. Like, people know that these things are said, but it's like this walk can truly be a religion to where people are really not breaking their hearts daily to line up with what Yah is telling them to do and what He's telling them not to do. They're not interested in having a broken and contrite heart. They want to be celebrities. They want to get Grammys. Yes, some of them want
They
to
want
get
that
Grammys.
platform.
Yeah, you want that platform and you say that you're doing it for Yah, but you better be truthful and you better be honest, like now, because He knows the truth. He knows the truth. And again, I don't care who's listening to this and they're offended. Be offended. But you know what? Am I wrong for telling you the truth? That's what the word says. It's not my truth. I didn't make it up. But you need to repent if you're going after the world's things, the world
Yes,
system, the world's music. You're trying to appease the world and appeal to the world. You don't need to do all these extra tricks and stunts in order to draw who needs to be drawn. Yah is the one that gives ears to hear. But when you want
that
them to
point.
see you, then you present this stuff. And that's what it's all about. I say repent.
Especially the ones that do. I cringe now when I see um St. Jude's and all this other stuff, charitable stuff, because we know what y'all really doing with those children. Um,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Shriners and all that. So when I found out that, now when I go to the store, would you like to donate? No,
Oh,
I'm
and
not.
they really do offer those services for free because I was calling one time to get some information, and the lady at the hospital was like, you can sign up for this. It's free. It's perfectly free. And they bothered me for weeks trying to tell me how free these services were and we could get there and we don't have to utilize these doctors and this and that. We can go right here because it's free. And I was like, this is wicked. This is wicked. They are really, they got an agenda going. This is wicked. But I'm not interested in nothing they have at all. I mean,
I, I
it's
had,
just ridiculous.
right, because I had to stop um, donating to the Israel project. When I realized who Israel is, I was like,
Yeah.
and they just kept harassing me the whole time, and I haven't seen anything else. But when I realized, I was like, wait a minute, Israel is not a place; it's a okay. Yeah, y'all not getting nothing else.
Yeah,
Nothing.
a lot of us have made that transition. You were a Christian, but then you went into like a Hebrew roots movement, which still amplifies these Israel people with the curly cues and hats. And you think that you're supposed to give to those people because they are Yah's chosen people. But then when you find out the truth, you're like, what? And so you just totally get a different mindset now. But sis, I thank you for spending this time and testimony. People should go to your TikTok because that's what we started out with. They should go to your TikTok channel. And what is it? Kenya? What is it?
Kendrayah.
Kendrayah. I'm like, because everybody puts y'all in their name, but they cut part of the name off. So it's like, Kendrayah. Go to her TikTok. And it's the same name on YouTube and the same name on Instagram.
So if you go to my TikTok channel and you go up to the bio, it'll have a link to my YouTube channel. So y'all ain't got to go through all that.
No gymnastics, no social media. Okay. And so you should have some some poetry and music coming out pretty soon.
Well, okay, so about that, you know how, like I said, I was talking to you in dreams. I saw me doing poetry, but apparently when I was trying to read the things I had already written, the page went blank. It's almost like you can't use the old things you used before.
Uh,
So whenever that season comes of me doing more poetry, you will definitely know. But right now it's focusing on, like I said, the whole mental health, people helping people mentally and
okay.
helping people. I guess you said being that bridge gap, because
Right.
yeah,
Right.
helping and catapulting them, and I love it. I really do. I definitely have a passion um, to help people. Is just a wonderful thing when you can talk to someone and they get the light bulb and how they were once when they first came on the phone, and they're totally different when they get off. They
Hmm.
have they have hope. And
Hmm.
it tells us that our testimonies give people faith. You know what I'm saying? And so at first I was like, I don't want when people say, well, tell me your testimony, I felt like it was more like focusing on myself. When I
Mm,
realized, no, when I tell my testimony, I'm showing you how Abba has done so much in my life. I
mhm,
used to be um I used to wear a whole bunch of makeup and feel like I couldn't leave the house without makeup and wigs. Now
right.
I can't even tell you the last time I wore makeup. I don't think
Remember that
about it,
time, the makeup and wig era. Whew.
I don't wear the wigs because how he really dealt with me. The wigs was the last thing to go because he was like, I kept having dreams of me in the wig store buying. And when I looked up what wig stood for in the spirit realm, it meant operating in false authority,
Mm,
false covering.
mm,
And when I realized that, I was like, they can go now,
mm,
because they got names too. Those wigs got names to it too, just like makeup has names. And so after that, I realized, I said, no, when I was wearing makeup, it's because I was trying to cover up brokenness.
mm.
Because you can make your makeup so perfect. And my face had to be what they call beat face or mattified. I didn't want that thing to move. Even if I cried, I'd be like, whew, and it's still in place. You know what I'm saying? But um, I was broken. The military had trained me to be very numb to emotion. When I mean numb, they drill you so much that it's like you get this entitlement because you wear the uniform and the thank you for serving. The moment you get that stripped away from you, it's like you're the bottom of the barrel.
Well,
We used you what we needed you for. But the whole time you're so arrogant. So when I got out and a woman would cry in front of me, I'd be looking at them like, you weak.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Just no emotions, or I will cuss somebody out and I will make sure I hurt your feelings intentionally and watch you cry before I blink my eye to make sure I did the job. You know what I'm saying? So
goodness.
when I see who I am today and the person I was, it's
Mm,
like when I had to tell my husband, and this is just for me, just telling you ladies that's waiting to get married, date Yahusha, learn who you are, because you try to put all your trust in your husband, he's gonna fall short.
yeah,
He's just man
yes.
that always using. But when you come into a relationship and you know who you are, you're gonna know your worth. You're not going to downgrade. He's got to come in a certain way. When you get married, you're going to want that man is the priest in the household,
Yes.
that you're able to do your part as a helpmeet. That when you come into marriage, because now Abba, let's get it. Now Abba will allow some marriages like Hosea and Gomer because he has a plan. A believing wife can turn a non-believing husband into a believer, same vice versa, depending on the individual, because they have to be equipped. Am I telling you to go out there and just pick and choose and say, oh, well, she said no? I will tell you, allow him to choose your spouse. Because when I met my husband, I was done with dating. I had been sober for a whole year, and I was go and play a fish. And I was like, okay, he was a third profile. But there was a part of me that was like, you may not be interested in it, you know. But I dreamt of my husband 2 years, and I was in a different relationship 2 years before we met. I couldn't see his face though.
Oh.
So when we went on our dates,
Mhm.
we was on this with the same colors and everything, and it was like we had been knowing each other for years. And I remember him saying, "Your search is over. I am he," and I was like,
That's
"I don't
bold,
know about that, bro."
right?
But here we are today. But what I will say is, allow Abba to pick your spouse for you. You will show up where you need to be, and he will show up where he needs to be.
Right. Yeah.
You want somebody that you can pray with and grow with,
Mm,
not someone where it's just one sided, because that will wear you out spiritually and
mm,
things that you're called to do.
mm,
Don't have children right away. Children are a gift, and they will come in their time and season.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? But focus on, like I said, your identity, position, purpose, and significance. Once you understand that and what you're called in to do, Seek the kingdom of Yahuwah first, and everything else will be added onto you. It will
Wow.
be added. My life is a representation of as I seek him, he added. I have things right now I didn't even ask for. And there's still things to come that he's going to baruch me with that I didn't ask for. But he's saying, I deserve it. So don't make marriage your idol. Don't make making children your idol. Why? Because Yahuwah's timing is different from man's timing.
Yes.
Oh, you supposed to be married at 25, 35, you're supposed to be this, 45, you're supposed to be, oh, when you get to 45, you're too old to have children. Sarah had a child at 90, and that was still considered young back in the day. So,
She laughed,
on
but
that
it
note,
still happened.
and it's still happening. So, enjoy your walk.
Yes.
Don't overwhelm yourself. Allow him to order your steps. If you're supposed to be married, they will come in his time. Enjoy learning who you are, unfolding who you are, as in your gifts, your talents, and all these things. That when that person comes, you will know that you are either the rib or they the body, and you get what I'm saying. Y'all fit together like a puzzle piece.
Right.
But in the midst, Abba is over both of y'all.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's that's um that's I mean, but I love my husband because some women don't even know where their husbands are. They get married, but
Whew.
but it's in their time, and don't try to force the truth on your husband. Allow Alpha to order their steps to how they come into it. Just plant the seed there.
I
Just
just
plant
I
the
just
seed.
read something on Facebook talking about that. Just do your part. Worry about what you're supposed to be doing. And I think what happens is, because in this life you're taught to multitask and you take that into your relationship. Like you're supposed to be doing this, this, and this so that this person will be doing this, and you're supposed to make this attractive so they'll want the word. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be led by Yah. I mean, and the first thing you need to do is make sure that you've repented, because a lot of times as women we just want to run everything, and even if you don't say that and you try to act like that, I've heard little mousy women running things too. I mean, I'm definitely guilty. I am what is it my sister used to call me, little Miss Know-It-All. Like, oh my goodness, like I'm coming out of that now. But as you are in a marital relationship, you still always feel like you need to kick in, you know, especially as Black women. We always feel like we need to kick in because this ain't right over here. We need to kick in. I need to do this because he's not doing that. I need to kick in. And what that's called is fear. You're operating in the spirit of fear. You want to call it something else. You want to call it smart and wisdom and discernment or whatever, but no, it's actually fear. Because when it's driven by Yah, when you're driven by Yah, it presents in a whole different way. And that's something that we got to get better at. We have to realize and recognize. And like I said, I'm talking to me too, because I will kick in. Okay. I will kick in and be like, yes. But then on the other end of it, it's like, oh, see how that turned out, because his ways are not your ways. So you got to
That's
trust God. He will show you how to do those things. I
that's
think,
that curse of
go ahead.
that's that curse of the broken household. If you think about it, back in slavery time, how they broke up the home,
Right.
the husband got lynched or something. So it's in the DNA. It's more like you recognize and say, okay,
Hmm.
I need deliverance from this curse here and every demonic entity that's attached to it, because this is not coming to my household, but it's still taking effect because even though your husband may be there, and they always say, oh, Jezebel and Ahab, if he was in a broken household too, it's in him. You're trying to be the gatekeeper and the watchman,
Right.
because there is the fear there, like, I don't want this foundation to crumble.
Mhm.
But however, it comes a time where Abba has a time when he's going to bring men folks into the revelation, because just like us, it took us some time before we came to knowing Abba, but there was something that clicked. It was like, oh, and you full force. It's what a young lady told me some time ago. Her husband wasn't on board with Abba, but she was going to church, and church became her idol, her escape place.
Oh.
And she said Abba told her that you're using this as an escape, but your ministry is at home. What you doing? So she started spending time at home. And she said he told her, he said, now you too busy looking at where your husband is right now, but I'm trying to train you to get in position that when I wake him up out of his sleep, you can answer questions
Mm,
when he wakes up.
mm,
So she allowed Abba to send her through that preparation because Eve or Akua's process was longer than Adam's. It
mhm,
was,
mhm.
right? Before they went into the garden. So she gets in position, and finally her husband wakes up out of his spiritual slumber. She
Wow.
said what took her 5 years to accomplish spiritually, it took her husband 6 months.
Oh, wow.
But when you get your hands off the plow, his plow, and you focus on what, like the Proverbs 31, she saw a field, she purchased it, she made a vineyard. When you're focusing on, yeah, make sure you still being a help meet when he needs help, you
Mhm,
know, but you have your field that you're plowing to, that when he wakes up out of his slumber, it's like, all right, I guess we'll start working on your plow, your garden here, but I'm here to just help you.
mhm,
But it's just like what a friend told me. She said, if you're constantly keep picking up something that he's supposed to be doing, how is he going to ever learn from his consequence of his actions?
mm. Yeah. He's not gonna learn. And you're gonna
Right.
essentially like a mommy, and no man needs
Yep.
a mommy. You know, it's just terrible. You don't need to do that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just, I thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome anytime. Matter of fact, I'm looking forward to us getting together since you in NC and I'm in SC, so we can't be that far away. You know what I'm saying? So we can definitely.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to finding out about your wonderful art even more. Just looking into, purchasing some and learning some things. So we thank Yah for this time that we've come together. I'm going to read our scripture, which is Philippians 4:8 now and 9, which is finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and Yah of peace shall be with you. My name is Sister Cece, and you've been listening to PQLR1 Radio, where Yah is always first. If you want to reach out to us, please do so at PQLR1radio at gmail.com. That's PQLR, the number one, radio at gmail.com. We're also on all social media platforms. Check us out on YouTube for all previous shows. And if you want to listen to our radio station, feel free to download it on your Android app. And you can also click on the link, which is in our YouTube page, and listen to our live radio. We thank you so much. We praise Yah for all that He's doing in our lives. And we pray that you are well and your family is blessed. Just remember, repent because the time is near. Praise Yah.